Hi guys, we are going to do a quick video today about modeling so we can get started with modeling some of the stuff that we've been learning about. So let's get into it. So first I want to look at some examples of some models. So what do we see here that makes a model effective? And what do we see that seems ineffective? First of all, I'm noticing this first one about the water cycle. I like how it has arrows that are showing first this happens, then this happens, then this happens. Or in this case, because it's representing a cycle, I guess it's not first, but this is the order it's showing us. I like that things are labeled and it is clearly titled, and everything makes perfect sense. Then I look at this next one and it says cake recipe. And then it shows the ingredients, an arrow, and the final product. Um, I like parts of this. I like that it shows the different ingredients. I like the arrow, which we've used a lot of times in something similar with cellular respiration, where it shows that there's a conversion. So the ingredients are converted into the cake. But a recipe should tell us the steps, should tell us the amounts, it should be specific, and this is not. So based on the title, it's not really giving us what it says it's supposed to. Down here we don't have a title, but I can see labels for the respiratory system, and then I can see it showing some important it's showing gas exchange, it's showing the oxygen going in based on the fact that the arrows are pointing in and carbon dioxide is going out. So I think that's pretty good. It's probably missing a title. And then lastly, we have this model here. I think the picture is great, but when we take a closer look, we see these labels don't make any sense. Okay, so if we are creating a model of our own, we need to think about what makes a good model. So some of the things that we just identified are that a good model is accurate, a good model is clear and neat, and a good model is going to use labels and arrows to show us something. So with these things in mind, we are going to take a look at some types of models that use arrows because sometimes they have different purposes. So one way that we can use arrows is to show steps in a process. So first, you wet your toothbrush, then second, you put toothpaste on the toothbrush, and third, you brush your teeth. That's one type of use for an arrow in a model. And then those would either be described or show pictures there. Another way that arrows get used is to show inputs and outputs. So here we have a process. What is the name of the process shown here? So this is, of course, cellular respiration. These arrows on this side are showing us the inputs, glucose and oxygen, and then over here we have the outputs. These are the things that are getting produced. They're literally, the arrows show that ATP would be leaving, water would be leaving, carbon dioxide would be leaving. And so we can see that those are the outputs just from this model. Okay. Here we could see a little bit more detail or a different way to use models. We also have inputs and outputs, but it's showing on a larger scale. So oxygen as the input, carbon dioxide as the output. And then the difference here is that we also see some things that are just being labeled. So the eye, this is not showing that the eye is an input with the arrow pointing in, because that would tell us that the eye is going into the person. That's not what we're trying to communicate. We're just trying to label that this is where the eye is. So we just use that regular straight line, no arrowhead. Same thing down here with the leg. This is not an input, this is just one line labeling where the leg is. Here's a model of the human body that I started working on already, but we're going to add to it together. So first off, I see some structures that I recognize, so I'm going to get those labeled, starting with the lungs. And because I'm just labeling the structure, I just can use a straight line. I'm going to go through and I'm going to label the other structures that I see so far. Okay, so I've added my labels. See if anything else comes up, but I can give us a check right now for our labels. Next, what could we use arrows to show? Well, first off, we've zoomed into the mitochondria, so we can show our process that happens in the mitochondria, which we know, once again, that is cellular respiration. So I'm going to go ahead and add that, as well as gas exchange. So we saw a couple examples of how that is modeled already in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. Alright, so I feel pretty good about that. I showed that the oxygen and glucose are going into the body and carbon dioxide is coming out. I used arrows to show those. I did the same thing in my cellular respiration model within a model, which I did with a zoom in. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. And we can do one more thing, which is adding a little model that shows us how osmosis helps with water balance in a cell. So I'm going to show you guys how I like to draw a zoom in. So for this example, let's just zoom into a cell in the arm. So I am going to start by just drawing a circle over here. That's where I'm going to show the process. And then in order to show the zoom in, just connect these lines right here. And we can draw our model. So zooming in here, and hopefully you guys can see this okay on my end. Some of this stuff is looking a little blurry. I'm hoping that that's not the case in the actual video, but just let me know. Okay, I'm going to draw real simple, just a cell, and I'm going to show that water is going out, and water is going in, so there is water balance. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom back out. I showed another process. We showed gas exchange. We showed water balance. We showed cellular respiration. We showed, I can make us a little key over here, the digestive system. We showed the respiratory system. So we didn't have to do that much, and we were able to communicate a lot of different things throughout this model. So we're going to work on this skill together so that you guys feel confident in your modeling skills. All right, see you guys later.